Hey guys, welcome back to another little mini chit chat video. Welcome back to another little mini reaction video. So before we go ahead and get into today's topic, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Shout out to all our Purple Heart members. Thank you guys for all of your support. If you didn't get a chance to catch this live, don't worry, you guys will get to see it once it re-uploads on YouTube. So thank you guys for all of your support in advance. Um, so today has been like super low key. I've just kind of literally taken the day off. I had 3 days off, and this is the last day of it. I go back to work for a couple days, and then we are off on vacation. I am super excited. I cannot wait to have my official Christmas vacation. For those of you who keep up with us on the channel, you know I worked this Christmas all through the holidays, so I didn't get to take my traditional Christmas vacation. So we will be doing that in the next coming days. So I'm super excited about that. Kind of, getting to officially kind of start my new year. I know that sounds crazy, but this has all been work, 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 work on every front. So it's time for vacation. So I'm super excited about that. But anyway, I wanted to go ahead and talk about the giveaway really quickly before we go ahead and jump into the video. So as you guys know, the Uber Eats giveaway is over. We have our winners. I will be making that announcement on vacation, so you guys stay tuned for that video. And we have one more giveaway that's still going on the channel. This is the watch time giveaway, open to everyone. Um, it is a cash prize giveaway, but you do have to have access to Western Union to pick up your prize, and you must have valid government issued photo ID to pick up your prize. So that is the giveaway that's going at the moment. Shout out to everyone who has been taking part in the watch time giveaway. You guys have been amazing. We are slowly approaching our target. So thank you guys for all of your support. I'm super excited. And we're happy and looking forward to doing that giveaway. So definitely thank you guys for all of your support on that end. Okay, so I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about the geopolitical situation. Everybody has been keeping up. I think by now you'd have to be living under a rock if you don't know what's going on. So for those of you who are not keeping up to date with everything, so it seems like um, Trump has moved on. His fixation has now become Greenland. Greenland has always been kind of like a focal point for him, right along with Canada, for quote unquote logistical purposes, strategical purposes. The Americans feel that, Russia and China have way too much access to Greenland's waters and therefore, quote unquote, pose some type of national security threat. So that seems to be the narrative. He's ramped up the pressure, talking about we need to acquire Greenland for strategic purposes and for security purposes, and we need to secure the region, and the whole we need to dominate the Western Hemisphere thing. That drum is still beating heavily. So Greenland has always maintained that it's a sovereign nation. It's part of the Kingdom of Denmark, and only those two countries can decide the future of Greenland. No outside country can interfere with that. Unfortunately, we all know that the rule of law is no longer applicable here. Um, this whole thing about the UN meeting to sit down and discuss the invasion, and when asked the question, like, what can you do about it, though? The answer is not really anything. There's nothing that you can do about it militarily. All you can do is condemn it and, call for restraint and respect for law. That's about it. So it would be up to NATO as a collective, because Greenland is part of NATO, as is Canada. It will be up to NATO to defend Greenland. It seems to be the European countries have kind of woken up a little bit with this whole threat to Greenland situation. Um, Militarily, of course, the United States, the might of their military, but NATO can put up a stand. So what the question becomes is America gonna go to war with NATO over Greenland? Stephen Miller, just watched a clip of him on CNN. I was watching Erin Burnett. I believe that's her name. I don't want to say it wrong. Oh my gosh. I know her name is Erin. Um, I was watching her show and she was playing a clip of Stephen Miller saying that basically no one is going to war over Greenland. That NATO is not going to take on the United States and over Greenland, and that basically NATO is the United States, and implying that without the United States, NATO is nothing. I don't know if they're nothing. I do know that they would be significantly weakened if the Americans separated from that organization, but I don't know if they'd be like completely useless. There are other methods. I know the United States is all about the military right now, but there are other ways to affect countries, no matter how big the military is. And there are other tools in the toolbox to be used. So it seems like the red line is gonna be attacking another NATO country. Um I don't know if Venezuela is part of NATO. I don't think they are. Um, Part of UN, yes. Part of NATO, I don't know about that. I don't think so. So, which is why they can go ahead and attack all these countries that are not part of NATO and don't have nuclear capabilities. So clearly, um, so yeah, it seems to be the red line is going to be attacking another NATO ally or NATO member. So what happens if the United States invades Greenland? Like, what are you planning to do with the population of these places once you invade them? We seem to be in a time capsule going backwards. So you're bringing back colonialism, you're bringing back imperialism, you're going to conquer all these nations. What are you planning to do with the population there? Are we just going to be annihilating everyone? Or is that what we're doing going forward? The people of Greenland have already expressed their non-desire to be annexed by the United States. So, are you planning to go to war with Denmark and therefore go to war with NATO? Is that what we're doing? I mean, even Russia hasn't been that far into the weeds to actually start a war with NATO. So I don't know, this might be a new thing. Let's see if we can outdo the Russians in terms of shock and awe, cuz that would clearly do the job. That would do the trick for sure. So it's interesting. Now Greenland is at the forefront once again and there's pressure being applied, but the last time it was more so, it wasn't as it is now. Now there's definitely that veiled threat. I don't even think it's that veiled actually, because everybody kind of picked up on it, right? You're next. Um, for the resources and the rest of it, yes. It's all about taking countries' resources. So it seems like Greenland is next up on the hit list. So it'll be interesting to see what NATO really does. Because I'm starting to feel, and I've been feeling like this for a little while, but I'm starting to really feel like these organizations are just like good on paper. They actually have no actual power. When You've built your whole hierarchy on one country. What do you do when that one country now becomes your biggest adversary? Like everything they have in place depends on cooperation with the United States. So what do you do when the United States is the one that's gone rogue? Like what are you guys going to do? This is, I'm telling you, you can, this is a Netflix series right here. I'm telling you. It'll be interesting to see how how NATO responds to this actual real life threat to its power and to its right to exert that power, right? Because what good are laws if you can't enforce them? They're just pointless. They're just a bunch of men and women getting together in different countries, sitting around a really big, long table, talking about their opinions and on things without any actual real power to facilitate change or restraint. What is the point? You told them not to go into Iraq. They said, shut up. They went anyway. You said, don't do this, that. They said, shut up. They went anyway. Now they don't even ask permission. They just do and just throw it all under national security, right? Ever since 9/11, the whole thing has just kind of changed. And for a long time, the world just went along with it. So I'm going to say something that sounds a little controversial, but please have an open mind. And, I only speak to the folks with the high intellect. I have no time for the ignorance. So this kind of reminds you of the situation that happened um with the Jews and with Israel and the whole thing. The world has felt so guilty as a collective for so very long over this horrific tragedy that took place, right? They've basically turned a blind eye and gave a green light to they can do no wrong, they've been persecuted and they've this and that. And now everyone is like, okay, wait a minute, like we might have gone too far, the whole genocide, and oh my God, like what's happening? Like maybe this is what happens when you are so complacent that you allow things to just go off the rails, right? Because you're so afraid of being labeled particular names and you don't want to be seen as this or that, that you just kind of stay quiet and then the shit hits the fan. So here we are, right? Here we are now. Since 9/11 happened, everybody said, okay, 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 yes, yes, yes. Like they have a right to do this and that and the third. Okay, this happened. How long are we gonna like beat that dead horse? Every country around the world faces external and internal threats these days, right? You don't get a monopoly on national security. We have threats here in Canada. There are threats in England. There are threats in other parts of Asia. There are threats in Africa. Every country is now facing national security threats. That doesn't give you the right to become lawless and to just completely ignore the institutions put in place partly by you to maintain world order and peace. You just now gonna, like Jenga, just dismantle the whole thing and it's every man for themselves. So how long is that sustainable? The whole we're a nation unto ourselves and we just take what we want, take. Like we teach our children these things, right? There's only so much bullying you can bully, right? Before whoever you're bullying strikes back. And it doesn't matter whether the bully beats them into a pulp. It doesn't matter. We also teach our children that you're stronger when you unite, right? So even if you bomb them into smithereens, everyone just keep on bombing into smithereens. How long will it take before somebody gets fed up and just drops some biological warfare or some other form of retaliation? How long? You actually destroying the world, just in case nobody don't want to say it. Destroying the world for what? right? Old men who don't know how to let go of power, or old men who always had dreams of little boys of being in power and having this. This is not a game of battleship. This is not a game. These are real people. We are real people. These are real lives. And once you remove accountability from the world as a whole, it's done for. You understand? I don't think people think, we look at the world as in they're over there, I'm over here type of thing. This stuff is like have global ramifications. Because what do you do when you create your whole world system around one country, give them this immense power, and then they turn the power on you? What do you do then? That's why it's always very smart to be careful with that type of stuff. It's a very slippery slope. People get drunk off power. You see it happen all the time over the world. People get drunk with power. They don't want to release power. You got to have a whole war to get them out of office. It's a lot, right? So I don't think anyone should be surprised that this is happening. I mean, this is like round what, 2, 3? But what is shocking is the boldness. And the boldness is brought on by the complacency that's in the world, right? The world has become so used to having this blanketed protection. The free world, I'm not talking about the oppressed world. They've always been oppressed and will be oppressed. And that's another discussion for another time. I'm talking about the free world, the free world where democracy still kind of has a foothold. They've become so complacent and have become so comfortable that they didn't even pay attention to this to this situation that has now gotten out of hand. um yeah, that's pretty much where we are. So here we are now at another red line. What will NATO do if America invades Greenland? Will they fight back militarily? What will they do if America invades Canada? For years, you always had in the back of your mind this organization is here to protect, this coalition and all of this stuff. What happens if, when push comes to shove, there is no coalition? Every man for themselves, everyone trying to save their own, which is human nature, I guess. It's like these things are only good on paper, because when push comes to shove and you have to put metal to pedal to the metal, whatever, it's non-existent. I've heard time and time and time again in the news, oh, we're going to sit down and discuss, and we're going to talk about, we heavily condemn, and we call for restraint. Like, can you imagine how the people living in these countries feel when they hear that stuff? No help is coming. That's what they hear. No help is coming. And for years, you've taught people in the world, it's almost like they've groomed other nations into complacency, right? Don't have nuclear weapons. They're bad. We no no. We'll keep the nukes. And you guys just prosper and be happy and don't worry. Like, we'll never use the nukes against you. So like, we'll just keep all the nukes. And for years, people have stood by and just let these countries with these nuclear weapons just continue to harvest them and keep them and harvest them, while they were happy to just be protected, and nobody paid attention to the greed and all the stuff that's going on around them. And here we are. Now you have no protection, and the protector has become um the one attacking and taking, and you have nothing to protect yourself. Okay. So this may go on for a time, because we do know we're in the end of days. So we're in for a long ride with this stuff, right? So how long is it then before these other countries start saying, well, wait a minute, we need to get some nuclear, like, we need to get some nukes. That's why he's not pushing around North Korea, because they know they're unhinged. And yes, you might bomb them into smithereens, but they will put a couple of your cities underwater before you take them out completely, right? And then you have to contend with the rest of Asia, who, believe it or not, still have cultural bonds that go beyond the understanding of the Western world. So that'll be interesting, right? How long before these small countries start to say, we need to get on this we need to get on the nuke train, because look what's happening when you can't protect yourself. The people who are supposed to protect the world and keep the world order and peace have become the vultures and the takers. So what do? Just become extinct? Just become amalgamated into this one big huge continent, I guess? Right? Lose your sovereignty, lose your resources, lose everything, and just, get your American flag and get waving. Is that what we're doing in 2026? I guess. Like I said, we're in a time capsule, literally going backwards. There is no more forwards. There's no talk of future. Who heard anything about AI lately? There's no more AI. What's AI? Like, we're not talking about that. We are going back in time. That's what we're doing. Going back in time, right back to the beginning. Yeah, that's what we're doing. So I guess we're gonna have the ships flying their like pirate flags, and you know, ahoy matey, and away we go, and all the rest of it, since we're going back in time. This is crazy stuff. Like, you can't even make this stuff up. I don't think there's any Hollywood writer that could ever have conjured up this in all of their futuristic dreams. Like, we've watched all these Armageddon movies, and we've watched all this stuff for years, groomed by Hollywood to, you know, to the reality that we're now in. But I don't think even they foresaw any of this stuff, right? Just imagine, like, I'm just being for real. We're just, I'm being for real. I'm not sugarcoating anything. Just imagine going through all of this stuff just because you didn't want a black woman president. That's crazy. Your life is for like forever altered. You can't put none of this back in the box, right? All of this just so you wouldn't have a black female president. All of this so we wouldn't know all the rich old men who slept with all the young children. All of this, right? Just to avoid all of that. Your country is like forever changed and altered. If this keeps up, there will be nowhere in the world that Americans would want to travel to where they would feel safe. Forget about Mexico. Like, that's been the token, oh my God, don't go. But it'll be like a global thing, right? Because where are you going to go? Where would welcome you with open arms? You wouldn't be able to go anywhere. Isolated, stay in your country of 300 plus million and just have a go at it. Because globally, where would you be going? It will get to that point. It will. That's just human nature. You don't get to bomb and just kill people at will and think that people are gonna just roll out the red carpet. I'm like, come on in, yeah, just come on in. No, that's not realistic, right? So is this the trajectory like that you wanna go in? Like, why would you wanna live in a country that's hated everywhere? Like, just everywhere. Right? History has shown that this is not going to end well. We don't need a crystal ball. We just need the history books. You colonize, you take over, you pillage, you take all the resources. I mean, every country has been through it, I think. I mean, Africa could write a book on this stuff, right? Like, for real. So here we go again, round two, I guess. Which is sad. It's sad. It's unfortunate that human beings just lack the capacity to move forward and evolve. Just in a time capsule, back to the same old playbook. Did the same thing in Panama. You went in, you snatched up Noriega, trumped up charges, no pun intended. All this other stuff, like, this stuff is just so old and repetitive. The only thing is, it is dangerous. That's the only thing, the only thing that's always the sticking point. People literally lose their lives over this stuff. Like, people will lose their lives. And it's unfortunate that as a global community, we just lack the capacity to facilitate change and restrain these people when they go off the rails. So here we go. Um, I'm sitting here in Canada feeling very uncertain about the future. I never thought my 2026 was going to be like this. I had a whole speech on here talking about how I wasn't going to allow this stuff to affect me, blah, 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 blah. That wasn't realistic. Like, I mean, come on, like, be for real. Of course, it's going to affect you. If you're living in a country that's under constant threat of annexation and you're literally seeing it happen to other countries in your hemisphere, and you're thinking, we don't have this military, we don't have this, we depend on the United States and NATO as a NATO partner and contributor for our defense. So, like I said, it's not just Venezuela or Colombia or these um countries, it's places like Greenland and Canada who would like to exist and mind their own business and not be part of America. I don't want to be American. No disrespect. I've said it before. I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful, but I don't want you deciding my nationality. I'm Canadian and I would like to stay that way. That's my personal choice as a human being. How could you tell me otherwise and still claim to be a free society? It's not freedom if you're going to dictate to me my nationality. I don't want to be American. I like being Canadian. I like it just fine. And so here we are. We're at a roadblock, it seems. So it'll be interesting to see what plays out in Greenland. I think Canada is on high alert. We are watching and paying attention. And NATO will be on alert as well because we might have to come a calling. We might have to come a calling. You might actually have to put might behind all these beautiful words that we've heard over the years. We might actually need to come in and cash that check. So yeah, that's where we are. Let me know what you guys think about this whole situation that's going down. If you're in North America, how do you feel about this whole situation? Drop it in the comments down below. It seems like this will be a talking point for 2026. I try not to fixate too much, but it's hard. It really is hard when you're somebody like me who likes to keep in the know, and sometimes knowing too much is not healthy, but I rather be in the know. I don't want to be blindsided by anything. So I rather be in the know. So it looks like we will be talking about this going forward. Let me know what you guys think about this whole crazy situation in the comments. And thank you guys so much for those of you who came through. We appreciate your time. Stay up and stay blessed, and we'll catch you guys in another video. Deuces.